Welcome to the Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. I'm Max Nathan.
And I'm Norman Davis. And this week, we're talking about the highly anticipated Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Will Ethan Hunt make it on this last mission? Will Tom Cruise finally go too far in his stunts?
Sneak in with us and let's discuss Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Max, I don't want to spoil the movie quite yet, but I can tell you Tom Cruise made it through this shoot. You want to know why?
Why?
Because he was in my home city, San Antonio, the night of release.
Did you see him?
No, I did not.
Fuck.
So we got two IMAXs in San Antonio. There's the Santikos Palladium, which it's my IMAX. You know, I've been going there for years and years. I saw all these Avengers movies, most Marvel movies there, every single Star Wars movie of my lifetime. There at the Palladium. We also have an AMC downtown with an IMAX. This one has a 70 millimeter IMAX. As someone who lives in San Antonio, I don't go downtown too often. You know, I don't want to sound like a snob, but you know, the Riverwalk and all that, it's a little touristy when you've lived there your entire life.
Sure.
So I pretty much never go to that AMC. Obviously, I saw Oppenheimer there because that was 70 millimeter, and it was amazing. I actually saw the last Mission Impossible there because I went to an early screening that was playing there. But yeah, I went to the Palladium because, you know, that's my theater, and Tom Cruise wasn't there. Tom Cruise was at the first screening at the AMC, which I think was like 2:30 in the afternoon or 3 or something.
Damn. He's got a busy schedule. He hit a bunch of different cities. I know he came to Dallas. He was in Deep Ellum at Pecan Lodge, which is a, you know, classic Dallas spot barbecue down here.
Very cool.
And yeah, he was you know, making the rounds. So
yeah, he did a lot here. He went to a military base, and I just found this out. He put on 2 screenings for people at Fort Sam Houston, and a bunch of them got to meet him. One of my manager's moms actually got to meet him, which is I'm pretty jealous.
it's pretty rad.
Pretty rad, yeah. But I didn't want to get too hyped up on meeting Tom Cruise and let it ruin the movie for me. So I pretty much went in knowing I wasn't going to meet him. By the time I was driving to San Antonio, he'd already left. But
Did you know he had already left, or were you like sitting there like midway through the movie, like, what if Tom Cruise walks in right now?
No. My dad had texted me that he sent me the video of Tom Cruise down at the Riverwalk. So, but yeah, like I said, that didn't temper any of my expectations. I still went in open-minded. I don't know how much you read, Max, but there's some critics were saying some crazy things. It was having me a little worried.
Yeah, I read a little bit. I heard, you know, there were some people that were concerned, and it was, you know, it didn't.
I heard Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that's
if you're saying something is Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything Rise of Skywalker since Rise of Skywalker that I've gone and seen.
Rise of Skywalker is one of one. That is a one of one disaster piece.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Jurassic World Dominion is probably the closest quote-unquote finale. I didn't want to, but I had a friend who wanted to. That movie was terrible, but I also really don't like any of those movies except for the first one. But yeah.
Before we get into the Final Reckoning, what are your thoughts on the entire Mission Impossible franchise on the whole? And where's your excitement at going into this movie?
I'm a big Tom Cruise guy. I know he's got his big fans like me. I know he's got some haters, obviously. He had a little mid-2000s stunt where everyone thought he was going crazy, and he wasn't really, I don't know.
There was the couch, the Oprah couch.
The Oprah couch, the Scientology, the antidepressants, all of this crazy stuff. But Tom Cruise came back and said, you know what? I'm just going to shut up and be the best action star ever. That being said, I like all of the Mission Impossible movies. I imagine we'll probably rank them after we talk about Final Reckoning.
Definitely.
Just going into this one.
Yep.
But, yeah, I like them all. I do think they really take a big jump with the 4, Ghost Protocol, and it just kind of is up from there for me, at least.
Okay.
Shout out Brad Bird, one of the best directors alive who never gets to direct anything.
Truth.
But, yeah, I was really excited for this. I'm a big Mission Impossible guy. I think Fallout is like one of the best action movies just ever. I remember that movie just blew my mind like none of the other ones kind of did. But yeah, I was super excited going into this. How about you?
I'm a huge Mission Impossible fan as well. I watched
Hard
all
not to
of
be if
them.
you love movies as much as we do.
It's true. It's true. These really are the premier action movies, I think, of our time. Like, I can't really think of that many other, like, just. It's not it's still IP. It's based on the Mission Impossible TV show, and then it spawned this large Tom Cruise franchise. But it's it's hard to compare this to anything else in the field right now. Like,
I would say the closest thing, and I'm not even too fond on all of these, but John Wick, mainly John Wick 4. I think
John
is,
Wick
like,
4 is
the best movie
incredible.
ever.
Yeah. John Wick's good. Although it's gonna be tough to get me into the theater for Ballerina. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, not hearing great stuff about that.
But anyways, Mission Impossible podcast. These movies are great. I'm really excited to talk about The Final Reckoning, and I was really excited to see The Final Reckoning. Norman, let's break it open. Let's talk about it. The Final Reckoning is here. It's upon us. What are we thinking?
It's past us now, really.
It is we reckoned. We reckoned with the reckoning.
Big shocker here. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like every Chris McGuire, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible movie. Like every Mission Impossible movie, really. But I did really enjoy it. I had some slight issues here and there. But I think it really hit all the beats. Obviously, there's the two crazy stunts that we'll be talking about a lot. That these movies are kind of framed around now, which is cool. I like that.
Yep.
Gives you something really excited. Obviously, the thing with the biplane. We've been seeing that for like years. This movie, for those of y'all who don't know, has kind of been in development hell. Cost almost $500 million to make. It's craziness. It's finally here, and I had a great time with it. I thought it was a worthy finale, question mark. I mean, it's a little messy. There's some things I didn't love, but I enjoyed it. I'll probably go see it again in IMAX. How did you feel?
This is also going to be a big shocker, but I thought this had two fantastic action sequences. Just amazing submarine set piece and the biplane set piece. Those two sequences are fantastic. The guy next to me and I, when we were sitting in the theater, were raising our hands and just in awe of what Thomas Cruise was doing on the big screen.
Yeah,
but
just nuts.
Yeah, it was incredible. But unfortunately, there's 2 hours of total nonsense gobbledygook attached to it. And I was pretty bored most of the time during this movie. I thought it was really disappointing. And I just couldn't get into it. It was really tough. I think it's such a huge step down from the entire franchise. Like, it's clearly the worst one in my opinion.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, it is. But
have you ever seen Mission Impossible 3 directed by J.J. Abrams?
I have seen Mission Impossible 3 directed by J.J. Abrams, which this movie ties very heavily into.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just very needless callbacks. It felt like you described it in your Letterboxd review as Rise of Skywalker, but awesome. I think it is pretty similar to Rise of Skywalker. I just couldn't get there with it because this format of movie that is just designed to bring back everything that you liked about the franchise, without bringing anything new to the table. I'm just not a fan of this style of movie. I just don't think it's ever going to work for me.
I didn't think it was that agreed. I mean, my biggest issue is like they just kept showing the scenes when they talk about it. But
yes,
there's really only two things they really tie back into. I don't think. You want to just get into spoilers?
For sure.
Let's just
Full
say
spoilers.
spoiler warning for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. If you
And the entire franchise. Entire franchise,
sure. So let's start with the Rabbit's Foot.
Okay.
I felt like this was. I don't know. I wasn't surprised. I don't think we talked about it on here, but I definitely talked about it with my buddy Preston.
Mm-hmm.
That the entity was totally the Rabbit's Foot. So maybe I'm just happy I called that. But I don't know. Like, so they just kind of talk about it a lot, but then it's not really brought up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is why I didn't like totally hate that stuff. Like when the movie, like the first hour, I will concede, wasn't great compared to the rest of the movie. But I don't know. I just think they tie it into stuff, but it's not like egregious. Because it's not like the whole movie is like, hey, remember Mission Impossible 3? It's just kind of like,
I mean, it's kind of doing that.
I wouldn't
no?
go that far. Not really. I mean, I think it's just kind of, I don't know. I didn't think it was that egregious. I think once they put that idea in your head, I think there's one weird callback with Shea Wingham's character that like really didn't make sense and like didn't really add anything, but I didn't hate it either.
Let's talk about that scene real quick, because the movie is just it's a lot of, like I said, needless callbacks and that kind of thing. But there's this one scene where Shea Wigham's character is named, he's going by one name, but he's going by Briggs, right? And his name is actually like Jim Phelps, right? Or is that John Voight's character's name?
No, I think it's Jim Phelps.
Anyway.
I think he's Jim Phelps Jr. or something.
Okay, yes. So, the big reveal, he's actually the son of John Voight's character from the first movie. And that's my issue with like this kind of movie, because it just comes across as like, you'll have people coming in and going like, I'm, Jorts McClusterfuck, and I'm John Voight's son from the first movie. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't care. Like, that was 20 years ago. It was like 19 years ago? No, it's 30 years ago. 29 years ago, right?
Yeah. So it was actually, fun fact, like 29 to the day that it came out. I don't know if you knew
Crazy.
that.
But my point still stands. It's like, that movie came out 29 years ago, and that's just, it's it's like nonstop Mission Impossible glup shitto, and that's not even the...
Is it really nonstop, though? Like, is it really...
It's a lot.
I didn't find it, like, detrimental. I don't know. It's really just 1 and 3. And...
I mean, well, they don't hit, they don't necessarily, hit every movie, but there's a consistent stream of, like, remember this from the past movie, and it's kind of like...
I feel like they kind of get it out of the way, though, in the first hour. I don't feel like... It's not like at the end they're still calling it the Rabbit's Foot, or...
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but it's stuff that kind of, like, persists throughout the whole movie. It's like stuff they set up in the first hour, but it's like around. We haven't even talked about William Donlow from the first movie, who was like the guy in the room with the knock list.
Okay, but counterpoint, he was really good in this one.
I agree with you. I actually agree with you on that. Rolf Saxon is the name of the actor. I
thought that made total sense. Yeah, I didn't find that I don't know. I feel like that, and like I wouldn't even call the Rabbit's Foot thing like a big thing. It's just kind of like,
it's not a big thing. It's not even necessarily, I'm not saying like this ruins the movie per se. I think my main issue with the movie is that it's just boring. Okay. But there is this kind of like consistent, what they are trying to entertain you with in this one is the hit of like, look at this. This was from the third movie.
I think they're trying to entertain you with the 2 biplanes flying like 10 feet above the ground.
That is
and
the entire
Metal Gear
movie.
Solid submarine.
I totally agree with you, Norman. I think that those sequences are fucking incredible. I think the submarine, it was like, I was like gripping the seats, I was throwing my hands in the air when the backpack or whatever got strapped to the submarine as it was going down. I was locked, okay? This movie's 3 hours long. It's 3 hours long. And the biplane and the submarine accounts for 30 minutes? Maybe?
You're going to call me crazy. This movie did not feel 3 hours long.
I was feeling it.
I was not feeling it. I thought this movie was flying by, dude. Like, I don't think it was... I think all Mission Impossible movies... The way they make these movies since Ghost Protocol is they come up with the stunt first, and then they just kind of ride around that.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of tell in all of them. So I didn't find it that egregious here. Like, I just kind of went in knowing, like, okay, these are the rules. I don't know.
Yeah. I just thought there was a lot of stuff that was undercooked. Like, you have... I just think, like, the Entity as an antagonist as well as this artificial intelligence that has really no face or voice throughout the entire movie, and serves as kind of like, I guess the face and voice of the entity is the panic and anxiety that all of the characters on all sides are experiencing. And like that could work conceptually, but it just, the way they did it, it just feels like there's no antagonist in the movie, and they're kind of just like they're just barreling through the movie without any actual forward thrust. It's all kind of like manufactured, and you know, it's all like, oh, like everything's fucked and shit's, you know, the entity is hacking into everything, and it's like, that is not really a tangible thing to me. They didn't really communicate it as this horrible, you know, threat. I'm much more invested in like Philip Seymour Hoffman as a guy. Fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say I think Gabriel sucks in this movie. I don't know. Yeah. I can't imagine you liked him more than I did. I think he's like by far the weakest Mission Impossible. Even like I said, I think Mission Impossible 3 kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. Philip Seymour Hoffman is probably the best villain in any of these things.
Definitely. But I don't even like that movie, to be clear.
Yeah, no, I don't like that movie either. But they kind of set up all the entity stuff. This is a part 2. I don't know why they changed the name. I think it's kind of an issue too with this movie. Because I don't know, they kind of just did all of that with the entity in the last one. And then like we get here and the entity's like taking over the world and he has the nukes from every country. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of, from a screenwriting perspective, it's a really hard thing to tackle, to kind of comment on the impact of like social media and artificial intelligence on our, I guess, fears and anxieties and how we carry that into our day-to-day actions. And I think that's what they're trying to do here, but it just comes across as kind of like old man yells at cloud kind of thing, like where you have the, you know, I think they call them the acolytes of the entity, where you have like, they show people on the news saying like, the entity is going to save us. And it's like, this really doesn't matter to the movie, number one. Number two, this is really silly and not really doing anything.
I think it's just to set up that guy fighting Tom Cruise in the sub.
The guy fighting Tom Cruise. Oh.
The knife fight when he's in his undies.
Yeah. And he tells him he's on the internet too much and kicks him in the face 1 billion times.
That was awesome. That's what I was looking for with this movie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
That was fun. It was fun. That part was fun. You get a bunch of great people in that submarine. Or you get Tremel Tillman.
Oh my God. That guy is going to be... He was the standout in this movie.
Movie star.
Dude, every line read like was getting chuckles and... I don't know. Like that guy... Was that? Sorry?
So was your theater like as elated as mine when he showed up? Like there was almost like a collective like, oh yes, Tremel Tillman's here.
So he got a couple of gas, and my dad got really excited because he loves Severance. He was like, is that? I don't know, I guess he didn't know he's in this, but he was killing it. Like my theater loved him more than almost anyone in this movie. Yeah, I thought he was incredible. I think some of the other actors, they don't get like Katie O'Brien.
Yeah, she got nothing.
Doesn't really get much to do here.
She kind of smirks at Tom Cruise, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, this is already an overstuffed movie, so... Mm-hmm.
You got Mr. Negative from the Spider-Man game in there?
Oh, you do got Mr. Negative. You got Hannah Waddingham, is that her name, from Ted Lasso?
Yeah, doing an American accent.
Doing an American accent.
Pretty good American accent, but it threw me off.
She is like one of the most British-looking women ever. I don't know why I decided to give her an American accent. Yeah. I don't know. But it was like a really... My dad and I were talking about it because we used to watch a lot of Ted Lasso, and like it's so weird. It's like AI. It's an AI voice. But...
Yeah, no. Particularly in that portion of the movie as well, there's a lot of like how you were talking about how they'll be cutting between like something that happened in a previous movie, something that's happening right now, and maybe something that happened in the last movie. Like simultaneously, like boom, 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 very quickly. And that's part of the thing in this movie that really didn't like work for me. It's like they almost were trying to It's that manufactured forward thrust that I was talking about, and it ultimately feels like the movie was like edited by Moon Knight or something. Like it has no cohesion at all. It's just like all over the place.
Yeah, it took me a little bit. Like I said, I didn't love the first hour. Like I was getting pretty worried. I was hearing the complaints.
Yeah.
I hope you agree with me. I wouldn't say this is anywhere near as awful as The Rise of Skywalker.
Hell no.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm just making sure. Yeah.
No, Rise of Skywalker, like we said, is a one-of-one disaster piece. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again in our lives.
Yeah, just such a bag fumble.
Actually, I forgot. We gotta wait till Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars come out. That could be the next one.
Karate Kid Legends.
Don't be talking about my beloved like that. My beloved Karate Kids.
I get the shit on the movie you're excited for next week. Don't worry. Yeah, where were we?
We were talking.
It's getting messy like Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
I'm also, maybe it's just me. I'm kind of a sucker for like messy, big. Like I think John Wick 4 has the same issues as a lot of these movies. I feel like every Matrix other than the first one has these issues, and those are some of my favorite movies ever. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I just give more leeway to a movie like this.
You like Batman vs Superman has some,
that movie's not messy. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, that movie's a mess. That movie's like every other scene you can be like, wait a minute, blah 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 blah. I don't care. Yeah. It's hard as fuck. I don't care. Is it cool? I'm engrossed? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know. But no, I understand your complaints. I just think they weren't that big a deal for me, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Because the movie just kind of kept going. And yeah, it was really all over the place. So if I had time to sit like, oh, maybe I didn't need to see the clip of the rabbit's foot or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or, it's like cutting between Ethan talking to Grace and Ethan talking to Luther and mm-hmm. Benji. I'm like, okay, it's kind of messy. And then like I blink and like Luthen's dead. And I'm like, no! So,
oh my god, I did not like the way that they killed Luther in this movie.
I liked it. I thought it was a good send off.
He was also, so he's dying. He's already dying. He's in a hospital bed, and Gabriel drags him out of a hospital bed and straps him to a nuke in a cave.
That's just super. That's awesome. You should tell me this. Would you rather have him had died in a hospital than like Ethan take care of the entity and then he just dies? No, yeah, he dies doing what he loves, saving people, disabling bombs. I was just thinking of Fallout the entire time.
Yeah. There's a lot of nukes in this movie. Every it's not even like, in the first movie it was like, oh, if you didn't get a drop of sweat on this pressure pad, it's like gonna, you're gonna get caught and sent to jail. It's like in this movie, we're risking total annihilation at all points in the movie. And that's another thing that I kind of took issue with, is like when the stakes are so big, it's almost like there's no stakes at all. Like I can't even, it's hard to like fathom. You know what I mean? Like I guess it's feasible. I guess it's, this kind of thing could technically happen, but it's just so like,
I mean, when you look at this as like the final movie and like mm-hmm. how do you make the final quote unquote villain of Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
Intimidating? Yeah, it's an AI. It's like, okay, you just have them hack cell phones. It's kind of lame. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's the nukes of all the biggest nuclear war. I don't know. I don't know. It was silly, but I think these movies are sillier than people like to say they are.
They definitely are. They're very, that's part of their charm. Going back and looking at the recaps for all the other movies, it's like, there's a lot of, suspension of disbelief having to do with like who's on what side, and there's a lot of like twists and turns.
And literally every other movie, they have a machine that can just print you a new face.
Yeah.
Like Mission Impossible 4, which I think is the coolest one. Like he's climbing the Burj Khalifa with magnetic gloves. He has like in the Kremlin when he does that cool thing with the projector. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and that feels very like, I haven't really watched the old show, but like it's kind of old spy stuff, like that old James Bond stuff where he's like flying in the villain's lair in like a bike with a propeller on it or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate the movie kind of does that without, making it too ridiculous, where he has like a laser watch or something.
Yeah. That's something that kind of like, that swings more towards like James Bond, I guess. Like I feel like that's more, those kind of gadgets are more in tune with that franchise. This is a little bit more, I don't know, tactile is the right word, but it kind of seems like this is our generation's version of James Bond in some ways. I don't know. What do you think of that as a concept? Like, do you agree with me, or is that kind of like two different things?
Kind of. I mean, there's been some really good James Bond. Like we low key got the best James Bond in a while. Like we got Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think it really, even on me. Even I really like Skyfall. I really like all of them except for Spectre. The Daniel Craig ones at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't ever really rewatch them. I feel very disconnected to it compared to like Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
It might just be because I'm American. I don't know. But
I mean, you know, I was looking at the box office for the James Bond franchise compared to Mission Impossible, and it's actually pretty comparable, and James Bond typically does better at the box office. Which,
yeah, that's not too surprising.
It's not too surprising, but I'm kind of, given the quality of some of the recent James Bond movies, it's a little surprising to me. But James Bond's still killing it. Big shocker.
Now he's bought out by Amazon. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's a very different thing.
Henry Cavill finally give the fans what they want.
Yeah, it's
Mission Impossible got him first.
Yeah, that's true. Fallout got the.
You know what? If Mission
Cavalry
Impossible did anything, it helped ruin Justice League's Joss Whedon edition even more. So
that was fun.
Thank you, Tom Cruise. Thank you, Henry Cavill's mustache.
So if Fallout doesn't happen, we don't get the Snyder Cut.
I think that movie had a lot more issues than just Henry Cavill's CGI lip, but
it definitely did. But
it's definitely
everybody was talking
helped.
about the mustache.
Yeah, no, that was a big thing. That definitely helped. That's what I'm saying. That's why Tom Cruise is the president of movies. Like he's moving in ways we couldn't possibly comprehend.
He was like, Cavill's not shaving the mustache, and fuck your stupid Justice League movie.
You know what I will say though, coming out of this movie,
yeah,
I'm really excited for Tom Cruise to not be doing these for a while.
I agree, but he's already attached to Top Gun 3 and a Days of Thunder sequel. He's kind of he's doing the Iñárritu movie, which is the working title is Judy, where he plays like the most powerful man in the world, and in theory that's kind of a more scaled back movie where he's not going to be doing any stunts. That's great for him. I'm excited for that movie, but he is still going to be in this world of action, like with Top Gun 3 and then this Days of Thunder sequel, if that happens. I don't know that he is going to step away from this entirely. I think,
I guess let me ask you. I guess spoilers. Obviously, Ethan Hunt doesn't die at the end of this movie. Did you want him to die? Were you disappointed when he didn't?
I didn't want him to die. I didn't really expect him to either. It kind of reminds me of Uncharted 4, where Uncharted 4 was called A Thief's End. And, the whole game, you're kind of thinking that this is Nathan Drake's going to die. And I remember seeing my brother play it before I played. I actually don't think I ever finished that game. I need to play that game.
It's incredible. Do you remember the first teaser for that game?
Yeah.
It was everyone, that motherfucker is dead.
Yeah.
Incredible teaser. But yeah.
But you think that Nathan Drake is going to die in that game because of the setup. It's like A Thief's End. It's like, Mission Impossible, this is kind of a similar setup. But I can't picture Tom Cruise dying in a movie.
I think this, I probably would have been a lot more upset with this movie if he did. Like, that would have felt unnecessary.
Yeah.
I like that he just got up and walked away.
But
that's what Ethan Hunt does.
It's true. But let me ask you this. Is this really the final reckoning?
Probably
Are we done?
Not. I would be shocked if this was the last one he does. I don't think they're going to go right into 11, but especially if he's sticking around with seems like with pretty much everything except for this Alfonso movie, he's going to be with Christopher McQuarrie. Mm-hmm. I would be very surprised if he doesn't come back to this. This was also doing pretty well so far. Obviously, this movie had like a $400 million budget. Everything's said and done. It's an uphill battle. It's going up against Lilo and Stitch, which will probably be the biggest movie of the year. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Like, this had the biggest opening weekend for Mission Impossible. If this ends up being the highest grosser or even close to it, they're coming back to this.
I
for sure.
I don't think that's gonna happen though.
Yeah, I don't totally think it is either. I don't know. I'm rooting for this movie. I don't know. I know you didn't love it. I don't know if you're rooting for it, but
I'm rooting for it in the sense that it's, you know,
a real ass movie, and they did some cool ass shit.
It's a real movie. I don't like it. I straight up don't like it. But Tom Cruise is giving it his all, as always. And I think the biplane stunt and the submarine stunt are like some of the best shit I've seen in a movie theater in a while. So
I need to look up. Have you ever played the Metal Gear games?
I played a little bit of Phantom Pain, but not really. No.
That whole submarine sequence was, and like maybe this is just cheating for me because I think, you know how people say like Snyder's the blueprint.
Yeah.
Like in people go see like Trolls and they'll be like Snyder's the blueprint.
Yeah.
Kojima is the blueprint. You can see it. You can see Metal Gear in everything. There's Metal Gear wherever the eye can see. And like I don't know, I was just loving that submarine thing. It felt so Metal Gear, like so stressful. Like I don't know. I really love when characters are like always almost about to die. Mm-hmm. And I think this just kind of pumped to a 10. Like he's diving out of the submarine just in his underwear. Like
it's like literal so cool. Nukes are falling down on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that the supporting characters are kind of just there. One character even literally says like, "I have nothing to do." That was Greg Tarzan Davis. He just, at the end of the movie, he was like, "I got nothing to do. I'm gonna stay here." So,
yeah, that was the biggest thing for me. Like his team does nothing in this movie.
No,
which I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because this movie was clearly rewritten a lot and reshot a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I did like the team, but most of that was just like heavy lifting from the other movies. Like I really like Grace in Dead Reckoning. I get Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning confused. Like I'm pretty sure I've been calling this movie Dead Reckoning up until it came out, just because it was Dead Reckoning Part 2 for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then they were cowards, but yeah, I don't know. Like Palm Clementip's character.
Yeah.
Don't even remember her name. Paris. She does not get a thing to do in this movie.
No, she saves Simon Pegg, and for
she
that,
saves Simon Pegg.
we're
and she looks cool. She looks really cool.
Yeah, that's all she does.
Which, I don't know. Like half of these movies are war farming, you know. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah, but the crew gets a lot to do in the other ones. You know, like Ghost Protocol, which is one of our favorites. You know, the crew is doing a lot in that movie, and they kind of brought in, they brought in some new faces because they might have been, wanting to, sow the seeds for Tom Cruise's replacement in that movie as well. But that's a whole nother thing.
You know what the crew is missing?
What?
Rebecca Ferguson. She is she's such an incredible actress in general, but she is such a powerhouse in these movies. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, what's your favorite Mission Impossible team? Like off of one movie?
Definitely Ghost Protocol.
Interesting. I'd go Fallout. I
Fallout's
love that
a good
team.
One, but
Protocol.
You lose Paula Patton and Jeremy Renner. I think those are the two that you lose between the movies, right? And
yes.
You add Rebecca
Paula Patton's awesome in Ghost Protocol. Brandt, is that Jeremy Renner's character?
That is Jeremy Renner's character.
I think he's fine in that movie, but it also suffers from rewrite-itis. Where, clearly they wanted Jeremy Renner to be the next Ethan Hunt. And then McHugh came in and rewrote the script. He's like, oh, hell no, we're not doing that. Yeah. That would have been terrible. That would have been the worst thing ever, by the way. If Mission Impossible 5 came out, it was just Jeremy Renner. I'm
not going to lie to you. The way that this movie was going, there's a moment where Haley Atwell kind of saves Tom Cruise after the submarine thing. And they're in the decompression chamber together. And they're just face to face. They're kind of making out and stuff. And then she's they're talking about what they're going to do with the entity. And she's like, who can we trust with that kind of power? And
you thought it was gonna be Brandt?
For a split second, I thought Tom Cruise was gonna go Jeremy Renner from the fourth one. And
see, that's when I'm like, okay, this is too far with the nostalgia. I don't know. That's my thing. They don't do that though. A lot of these other movies do that. They don't really do that.
You telling me the Don Lowe thing isn't the Lando moment from Rise of Skywalker, to a T? But Lando's way cooler, obviously. I don't know.
Don Lowe, having him be in the whole movie?
not it being in the whole movie, but just like his first appearance is just kind of like, oh, it's this guy from the first movie, and they're trying to get a pop out of you, but it's not really like
Kinda.
What are we doing here?
But he's like I really liked him in this movie.
He's good.
I thought he was good. I thought like it made sense. If you're gonna go back, like that made sense. This is like a records guy.
Mm-hmm.
We are off the grid. We need records.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not like I don't know. Because like that was the biggest thing. That was like just straight up. I don't anyway. That was like the biggest.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, remember this one thing they did? Other than the rabbit's foot thing, which like they just bring that up. Like that's not Mission Impossible 3 is not like a consequential part of this entire movie. It's just like
no.
Hey, remember that thing you did? That's the entity.
Yeah,
this is on you, which I really like. That you were talking about those stakes and why it's so important. Like maybe the stake could have been more important for us, but for Ethan Hunt, it's like, oh fuck, this is my fault.
I think the movie goes by so fast too, with the way it's cut and with how much happens.
Yeah,
that I didn't even really totally comprehend that in the movie, that the rabbit's foot was the entity.
Interesting.
I kind of got the picture later in the movie, and then like thinking about it after the movie, it's like, okay, yeah, the rabbit foot, yada yada yada. But there's a lot of dots you have to connect, like during the movie. It's the most convoluted one of these by far.
It's pretty convoluted. I'd say that. I didn't think it was like hard to follow though. I thought parts were edited in a way that made it a little hard to follow, but I don't think like the plot of the movie, and like I said, the two main things they bring up, the Shea Wingman thing is silly, and there's one conversation about it, so I didn't find that egregious.
And he comes in like fucking him and Tramell Tillman come into their scenes just like fucking like Edwin Diaz, like just a badass relief pitcher. It's like we're good with these guys. But yeah, no, it's just good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, there's like two, hey, remember that things, and they both make a ton of sense of the movie, and like really didn't take me. I thought it was gonna be way worse. I thought the way people were talking about this movie, I was expecting like, oh, it's your motorcycle from Mission Impossible 2. Oh, it's the plane from Rogue. Like, you know what I mean? And it wasn't that, which I was fine with the way they went about that. Because, it is, like, quote unquote, the last one. And they did kind of, this is, all of this has been leading to this or whatever.
It has all been leading to this. And this podcast has also been leading towards our final ranking of the Mission Impossible films. So stay tuned. We're going to go to break, and we're going to come back and rank all these movies.
Should you choose to accept it?
We're back, and we're here to rank all of the Mission Impossible movie films.
Before we do,
Yep.
I was thinking about it on a little break here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been compromised by the Entity, Max?
Who can really say whether
Who can
they
really
have
say?
been or not? That's why the Entity is so tricky.
Mm-hmm.
But today, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, I haven't been off social media lately a little bit. I mean, I use it for work, but,
Yeah.
Are you compromised by the Entity? You better not be.
No, I like this movie.
You gotta get off this podcast right now. You're compromised
I just feel like
by the Entity.
you're hating on Ethan Hunt, which, you know who hates on Ethan Hunt? The Entity.
That's true. The Entity does hate on Ethan Hunt. That is
It
the key
does.
characteristic of the Entity, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even. It's a hard word to say. Even.
Entity.
Yeah, Entity.
Entity.
Kind of sounds evil though. So
The Entity?
that's
That's
what
an evil ass sounding name.
yeah.
Which is why he's so cool.
But yeah, let me ask you a question before we get into this.
Sure.
So before or as Dead Reckoning was coming out, A story came out about how Joe Biden, the current president at the time, grew more concerned about
That's
AI
why you made your letter
after watching
Okay.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Norman, do you think Joey B saw this one? And if he did, what do you think he thought? Do you think he's not worried anymore?
Hey, I don't think Joey B's seeing much of anything these days. I'm gonna be with you.
The entity's going to come for us now. We're going to have, like, the CIA coming for us because of that.
I think our current CIA would love us to talk terribly about Joe Biden.
That's probably true. Yeah, no, we're compromised. Fuck.
You know, I'm gonna be not. Maybe he's relieved because the entity's been defeated. He just
That's
saw
what I was
that
going to say is, like, he's
willpower
like,
and destiny,
Yeah.
just triumphs over evil.
exactly. He's just chilling now because Ethan Hunt is just a goat. He's like,
Yeah,
"Ah."
he's like the manifestation of destiny.
He's like, how could I doubt Ethan Hunt?
I forgot about that. That was the coolest thing ever. That Joe Biden just watched that movie and like started signing it.
Yeah, he was like, wait a second. Shit.
Do you think
That's real.
I don't know if you saw, but Trump actually, not to get too political here, but he passed an AI bill like last week about.
I saw that.
Like, he criminalized AI.
It was like for revenge porn. It was
For revenge
outlawing-
porn AI, essentially. I don't know if you remember, but like people were like posting inappropriate stuff with Taylor Swift. That was
Yep.
like a big thing. But anyways, this was like a bipartisan good move. But anyways,
I agree.
think Trump watched Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning and was like, "Oh no," and then he signed the bill or something. But
I don't think he was like, oh no, but I guarantee you he's watching these fucking movies. I bet you he watches movies nonstop.
but he'd want to control the entity. I feel like he wouldn't be like, "We need to take
Oh,
it down."
definitely. He'd probably be like, oh, this will be great for Truth Social.
He calls himself the crypt. It'd be good at making stupid people stupider, which is kind of what he does.
It's kind of what they do. Not to get too political.
Not to get too political. Yeah. We love all presidents, of all shapes and sizes.
Yeah. Specifically, the last two, we're big fans of those guys.
Yeah, everyone was, dude. That's why we're all in such a great place.
That's like why everything is good and awesome now. We saved America. It's over.
yeah. Other countries, I don't know, but
Yeah. The one thing I do know to be true is that Ethan Hunt is fucking rad. Okay, and
truth bomb.
we're gonna be talking about his best missions here. Let's just start it off with some trivial questions here. This is one thing I noticed throughout the movies. Tom Cruise's hair has quite the journey in these movies. He, sports the long look in Mission Impossible 2, and he goes real short in the first one, and it kind of, swings between those two extremes throughout the franchise. Norman, do you have a favorite Ethan Hunt haircut?
You can call it recency bias, but let me explain.
Oh,
Final Reckoning.
No.
I think is like, I love the longer hair look. I just think it's like missing something in 2. I think it's like perfected here.
Oh
if
my God.
that's the callback to Mission Impossible, it's probably I'd have to go with this one. I don't know. I think it's pretty good in Rogue Nation too. He's got some good hair.
He's got a
in Rogue solid head of hair there. But I
That's
think
true.
he has longer hair in this, which is cool. He's like on the side of this biplane, and his hair is just going crazy in the wind. He's falling out of the sky. Yeah, no, honestly, like from the first trailer, I was like, oh, that's the best Ethan Hunt hair I've ever seen.
I'm going to disagree with you again.
Yeah. Where would you go? Where would you go?
I think I would go 2. Just 2. The hair, the match between the hair and the movie that it's in, combined with like the place that Tom Cruise is in his career, it's just like the perfect synergy of just.
I do love.
Man, that's a movie star right there.
I know we're getting to our rankings, but I feel like we're both. Are you a Mission Impossible 2 truther?
Oh hell yeah!
Okay, I am.
Spoilers,
too. Thank
but
you.
yeah, we're gonna be aligned on 2, I think.
But yeah, I'm sorry, man. I got to go with Final Reckoning. Like I said, I think he perfected it. I feel like, he's going shorter. There's too long. There's too short. There's too clean. There's too messy. I feel like Final Reckoning figured it out. Mm-hmm. It's a good looking head of hair.
So, do you want to go from the back or start at the best one?
Let's start from the back.
Okay.
I think we both agree. We kind of said this. All right.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Final Reckoning.
Mission Impossible 3. Oh, we don't agree on this. I forgot. You don't like it. It's Mission Impossible 3 for me. I think 3 sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also not a huge fan of 3. I've grown fonder of it, like, over time. You know, we're also getting farther and farther away from me actually having seen the movie, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Because
Give it
a rewatch.
Yeah, I think I remember being very kind of like, ooh, it's very like J.J. Abrams, like, you know, bunch of stuff here. Not a lot of it works. It's kind of, you know, you have the whole like Billy Crudup turn, like he's, you know, part of the IMF, and then he's kind of on Philip Seymour Hoffman's side. It's a whole thing. You have the rabbit's foot, which ultimately means nothing in that movie until, you know, wait until it's the entity, and then, not a huge fan. This movie also has, like, I would say the most distinct visual look to it. Not style, but the cinematography is very, like, it's just very, very, like, punchy and saturated.
J.J. Abrams. That's what he does. Lens flares. Just, I don't know.
So, yeah, no, I had the Final Reckoning in this last spot, and I don't think it's particularly close. I like all of the other ones way more.
I got 3 in the last spot, and I don't think it's particularly close.
I think with the Final Reckoning, you have a movie that I think is conceptually just not ever going to work for me, and these franchises keep trying and trying and trying to make this formula work. And, you know, largely it does. Like, most people are not going to share this opinion. Like, I don't, although, you know, people didn't like The Rise of Skywalker. But Deadpool and Wolverine, for example, is a movie that this kind of, like, reminded me of. Thank
you all for listening to Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. We may never be back again. Max has been compromised by the entity. I don't feel comfortable going forward.
I might be compromised, but no, it's just a movie that I think is just, it doesn't work. Like tying everything together is just so meaningless to me, and I don't understand why you can't just make like another Fallout. Like, try to make a really fucking awesome movie.
It doesn't tie everything together. It ties like 2 things together.
It tries to. It feels like so much of the movie hinges on, you know, the rabbit's foot coming back and Don Lowe coming back.
Not really.
Carrie fucking Elwes from the last movie shows up for a second. I don't even know what he was doing. I don't remember that plot line from that movie, and I was like, oh, Carrie Elwes. I like Carrie Elwes, but what the fuck is going on? Yeah. You know, Shea Wiggum going like, I was John Voight's son. Did you think John Voight was going to show up?
No.
That would have been fucking crazy.
I think Megalopolis was the last time we'll ever see John Voight on the big screen. He's awesome in that movie. Don't get me. That guy's a whatever. But
not to get political again, but he's you know, the ambassador of Hollywood, you know, in the current presidential administration. So
he might be in Resurrection of the Christ.
What is that?
That's the sequel to Passion of the Christ. You didn't know that was the thing that's happening?
I did not know that was a thing that was happening.
It got picked up by like Lionsgate. Like, it's actually happening.
Shit is weird. Shit is weird, man.
It's gonna make like $1 billion. First conservative movie to make $1 billion.
Okay. Next up. That was 8. Norman, you had Mission Impossible 3. I had Final Reckoning.
Yes.
We're at number 7. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Wait. So wait. You have Dead Reckoning Part 1 under 3? Or
I do.
Okay.
And
go Mission Impossible 1.
Okay, that's honestly pretty interesting, because that's a De Palma movie. That movie's pretty cool.
It is. No, that was the gap. 3 is the only one I really don't like. All these other ones I like. Like, I'd almost say a lot. I would put all of these other Mission Impossible movies, like, I think 1's at an 8. So we're only up from here.
Mm-hmm.
I just like it a little bit less than 2.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler for my list. But
Yeah.
and I think it's mainly just like the last the final act just cuz kind of whoa. It just doesn't hold up too well. It just feels like I it always feels like a different movie to me, like the big train fight. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that train fight is very good. It kind of stands out in the end of that movie as like, well, this is kind of like way bigger than the rest of the movie, and also
just
feels
looks
like it doesn't look great.
Awful and untangible, which like these movies, Tom Cruise's career in general, but specifically like these movies, I feel like the main appeal, at least now, is like the real stunts.
Yes.
And there's some incredible ones in the first. I mean, obviously him going into that room, which we see a lot in Final Reckoning. Like that is one of the most iconic movie scenes ever. Point blank, period, no question.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I really like it. Like establishes like everything going forward, just how much he cares about the people around him, which I think is such a big theme in all of these. So,
I also kind of think that that's something that got lost in the later entries in the franchise. Just a very simple, we're trying to steal something from this room stunt, as opposed to like, holy shit, Tom Cruise is gonna die right now stunt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like
it's just kind of the promise of. That's just Hollywood in general, though. You just got to go bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I kind of miss. I think we kind of need to go like scale back a little bit, though. I miss a lot of that from the first movie. I think that was good stuff, and we don't really get a lot of it in the later movies, which is fine because a lot of the stuff is very thrilling in its own right. But yeah, I kind of.
I feel like when we do get it in the, I don't want to talk about some of my higher ranking ones, but I think they have a good mix of the big holy shit, Tom Cruise is crazy with like that really good, just like sneaking into a room or sneaking around a building, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
What were you gonna say?
Ahead. No, you go.
Dead Reckoning Part 1 is what I had here, and I kind of just think the reason I put it here is because, I would have had it higher, but I think that now, after having seen the Final Reckoning, where it leads, I kind of had to knock it down a few pegs, because it's just ultimately leading to the Final Reckoning. Like, it is very much a Part 1, and it's just kind of like, it feels empty now. And yeah, I kind of just, that's why I put it at 7. It kind of feels empty. It's got some really good highlights. I think that it was a fun movie to watch in theaters. I really liked it at the time. It's just like, looking back, it's kind of like The Force Awakens, looking back, where I kind of thought that movie was pretty good. And then you kind of rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, this movie's kind of fun, but like, I know where it leads, and it's just like, feels like the emptiest movie ever now. And I kind of feel similarly about Dead Reckoning.
So I won't get into it too much because it's at a different place on my list. But one of my bigger complaints with Final Reckoning, I think that first one does really cool shit with the entity. That's kind of lost in the second one. Like, obviously there's the big airport thing, and like Gabriel's getting blinded by all the cameras. I was hoping for more of that in Final Reckoning.
Yes.
But I think it's just, like the stakes were just, it was nuclear warfare. I don't know. But
it felt less creative than Dead Reckoning. The Final Reckoning did.
That's fair. I could agree with that. Yeah, I don't want to say too much. I don't want to spoil my list.
Should we just move on to the next entry?
Yeah, so third, quote unquote, worst Mission Impossible movie.
Number 6.
What? Oh,
it's number 6 on the list.
I thought you were saying Fallout, and I was like,
No.
Okay.
No. We're not.
All right, so number 6 on the list. 3, 2, 1. Mission Impossible 2.
Mission Impossible 3, which we talked about. So yeah. So you have Mission Impossible 2 here.
Yeah, like I mean, I kind of said this earlier. I think 4 they take a significant step. Just they get a lot better, but I do really like 2. Like that's probably my favorite of the first 3.
Interesting. I would have thought you would have had it higher, to be honest. I have 3 in this spot, which I don't love. I think it's okay. You know, I didn't love it when I first saw it. Kind of like gotten a little softer on it looking back. Philip Seymour Hoffman is great. We talked about it. It's Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible 2, however, I don't want to spoil my list, but I think Mission Impossible 2 is awesome.
I think it is awesome too. It works so well, like in the context of us, of like cruise heads, just like knowing where he was at.
Mm-hmm.
That life, it is like just the most divorced movie ever. I don't know, it's like trying to look so cool, and like it is. Like you said, I kind of like the Snyder stuff and I like the slow motion jumping, twisty kick in the air.
There's a lot of sick ass motorcycle battle. You got him jumping through buildings. You do have you get some really good mask stuff in this movie.
Oh, the plane.
You got the plane, and then what he does to kind of trick the villain at the end.
It's super cool. I would also say this is the horniest Mission Impossible movie. I would say
Definitely.
by far.
Not
cool.
Not a disadvantage.
No.
It's fun. Fits.
I think there's we could honestly do a whole episode on this if we want to be freaks. There's a lot of movies that could really use that.
There are a lot of movies that could really use that, and this franchise kind of has. It kind of
they really
goes
lose
away
that towards
later
the
on.
end. I just wasn't buying Grace and Ethan at all, and really that much of Final Rankoning.
I didn't either.
But they also, I don't know, they were teeter tottering there. But
Yeah.
anyways, Mission Impossible 2, lit.
Yeah. Agreed.
I guess, do you want to go fifth on the list here?
Yeah.
right.
I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1. Mission Impossible.
Rogue Nation. Oh, I should have said Mission Impossible first.
Well, I only said Mission Impossible because it's Mission Impossible. Okay. But yeah, we talked about Mission Impossible. It's directed by Brian De Palma. A pretty cool movie.
One of the greats,
started
I
it
will
all.
say.
Yeah, and
I think it's one of his weaker movies, but
for sure.
It's cool they got that guy. But
I fucking love Blowout. I haven't seen that many of his movies, but I probably should because I think that Blowout is just incredible.
Phantom of the Paradise, bro.
That's the one you recommended to me. That's the one that's
blew my mind. Carrie, Scarface. Yeah, obviously Blowout. Snake Eyes, really underrated Nick Cage movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mission Impossible 1. It's really good.
It's good. Yeah.
It just loses itself in the end for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. But yeah, no, Rogue Nation. What do you got there?
I really like Rogue Nation. I think it's really good. I mean, like I said, I really think all these are really good other than 3. I can't really stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's the weakest of at least the post 3 kind of overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it a little more forgettable than everything that came. I mean, Mission Impossible Fallout is a really good movie, and it followed this up. So I just this is just the one before Fallout for me now.
I consider it the one after Ghost Protocol. It's sandwiched in between.
Yeah, it's just sandwiched in between.
Yeah.
2 really good ones. We'll see how high they
Juggernauts.
are. Yeah, 2 juggernauts. But I still think it's really good. Obviously, the opening where he hangs on the side of the plane is just awesome. So cool.
It's awesome.
I feel like, I guess that was the first one I was kind of around for. I feel like I was a little too young to remember forced marketing per se, but I just remember yo, I gotta go see Tom Cruise hang on the side of a plane. It's great. There's an incredible motorcycle chase. It's funny. It's fun. Your boy William Branson it.
Yes.
You get gives us Ilsa, who I think is one of my favorite Mission Impossible characters.
You get Ilsa, and you also get Alec Baldwin.
You also get Alec Baldwin.
I think is on it. You can have your opinion about Alec Baldwin, as an actor, but
dude, have you ever watched 30 Rock?
He's.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that guy. Whatever about Alec Baldwin. Jack Donahue is one of the best performances of all time. 30 Rock, straight up.
I think he is. Period. I think he's just fantastic in these Mission Impossible movies. I think he's just a revelation. In he comes in. Does he come in Ghost Protocol?
No, Rogue Nation.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. He comes in Rogue Nation, and then he's in Fallout, and he has some of the best line reads in this entire franchise, and he's really good in Rogue Nation. And I think that the additions, like you said, of You got Alec Baldwin. You've got Jeremy Renner in this one. You've got Rebecca Ferguson. This is like one of, I think, what we would consider the upper tier. I think we've entered the top tier, shall we say, right?
Yeah, this is the top tier for me for sure.
I also kind of, you alluded to, like, this is sandwiched between Ghost Protocol and Fallout. I watched all of these movies 2 years ago when Dead Reckoning came out. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that this one was kind of like underwhelming. And that was mainly because it was sandwiched between, Ghost Protocol and Fallout, like we said. Yeah. There's just kind of like, it's just not as good as those movies, in my opinion, but it's still really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Chris McQuarrie's first Mission Impossible movie. Obviously, to find his footing. Kind of reminds me of like Quantum of Solace, how that's kind of like the first Daniel Craig. That's the first one, right?
No, okay. I think that's the second. I think it's Casino Royale is the first one. No,
that makes an even better allegory because it's sandwiched in between Casino Royale and Skyfall, which are like two of the best James Bond movies for my money.
Yeah.
So it just ends up like it's a good movie, but it's just hard to put it next to the big dogs,
Yeah.
It's like you got these giant, beautiful pieces of like sourdough bread, and you just got like a Whataburger patty in the middle, which I like Whataburger quite a bit, but
yeah.
I'm eating this bread, I'm like, this is the best. This is such good bread, and like the meat just isn't quite there. I don't know.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That was fantastic. No, it was fantastic. I couldn't have summed it up any better.
Yeah, I do love Whataburger. Shout out Whataburger.
We both love Whataburger. It's
sponsor us.
Texas, yeah. Oh yeah, sponsor us. That would be great. Sponsored by Seeking the Movies. Not sponsored by Whataburger yet.
I would say whatever they wanted me to say and eat as many burgers as they wanted me to eat.
I would too. But we will shill for Whataburger.
I'll shill. There's very few things I'll shill for, but Whataburger's up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Rogue Nation for me. I think it's a great time. It's a fun movie. If you put it on in front of me any day of the week, I would watch it. But I just think, what became before and after just kind of, makes it kind of stick out, not in a good way.
For sure.
With that being said, are you ready to get to number 4, Max?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're not saying Mission Impossible. We're just saying the subtitle, right?
Just say the subtitle. I only said Mission Impossible because that's what the movie's called. But, yeah.
All right, so number 4 on the Mission Impossible list. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. The
Rogue Nation.
Final Reckoning.
Holy fuck, that's high.
It's like right in the middle for me. I really liked it.
That is like in the mix with like, so you liked the Final Reckoning more than Rogue Nation?
Yes.
Holy smokes. And you were just talking about how much you missed Rebecca Ferguson.
I do miss
Shame on you, honestly. Disrespecting Rebecca Ferguson.
Okay,
crazy.
Well, if you haven't put it together yet, every other movie on here has Rebecca Ferguson. Yeah, I think this one was better than Rogue Nation. I don't know. I just talked about it for 40 minutes about how much I liked it, but
yeah,
I really liked it. I wouldn't call it recency bias. I think I'd go see it again and probably say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it just keeps going. It kept me entertained. I wasn't bored. Anytime I had an issue, something else cooler was happening, and I didn't really care at that point.
Yeah,
I love a messy and ambitious movie.
Yeah. I do too sometimes, but this time wasn't really digging it. But I had Rogue Nation here. We talked about Rogue Nation. You get the water tank stunt. Pretty cool shit. Mm-hmm. What's the other stunts in this movie? You have the motorcycle chase, which is pretty great.
Incredible.
You have Sir Ethan Hunt is the living manifestation of destiny in this one from Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Probably the best line in all of these movies.
Yeah, I think it perfectly sums up any of these movies.
So yeah, no, I think that's 4. I think that sums it up.
I think the Final Reckoning though is the Final Reckoning felt like the best example of that to me.
Of what?
Ethan Hunt is the manifestation of destiny. Like the cards were never higher.
Yeah. Ethan Hunt, it really is the living manifestation of destiny.
Yeah,
we can't overemphasize that enough.
I just smile when I look at that guy,
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess anything else on Rogue Reckoning? Rogue Nation, whoa.
Rogue Reckoning, that's the next one.
Rogue Reckoning.
But yeah,
be
no,
pretty cool.
I'm good to go. Yeah, we can do 3.
Top 3.
So, do you want to recap the list before we get to the top 3? So, my list is Final Reckoning, Dead Reckoning, Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible 1, Rogue Nation.
All right,
What's
and
yours?
my list is Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 2, Rogue Nation, The Final Reckoning.
And that's worst to best.
It's worst to best. So we're going above that now to number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Should we count down?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. You're going to hate me. Dead Reckoning.
2. I'm not gonna hate you. I think Red Dead Reckoning is good. I just think it
Reckoning
feels
is good.
empty. It's like Force Awakens to me. Like it's a good movie. I just like where are we going with that? You liked.
Oh,
where it went.
I like The Final Reckoning.
Yeah.
So I think it's teed up. But I also just really like that movie independently. I mean, great stunt with him driving that motorcycle. I saw that 1,000,001 times before seeing it, and I still was like clutching my pearls while watching the actual movie.
Yep. I liked when he crashes into the train. Like you think he's gonna land all slick, and he just explodes through the train. Like
Love it.
That was a great moment.
Yeah, I think Dead Reckoning is just kind of nuts. I think Final Reckoning is too, but I love it. I love the whole the airport sequence I talked about a little bit earlier, where it's like Grace, Gabriel, and Ethan all running around this airport. I thought that was incredible. I love his little car. Just one of my favorite car chases.
The little car was great.
I love how they have like the impotence joke. I don't know. That like shocked me. That doesn't feel very Tom Cruise, but I just dying laughing when I first saw that. But yeah, I really like Dead Reckoning. I think it's the better half of the Reckoning crew.
Mm-hmm. The Reckoning crew, that was great too.
Reckoning crew.
You're on a roll today.
I'm on fire, man. I just really like Mission Impossible. What can I say? But
true.
yeah, I hate that Ilsa dies.
Yeah,
From that movie. They don't like.
Oh, we haven't even mentioned this. Where the fuck is Vanessa Kirby?
I was thinking that too.
She doesn't die, does she? I don't think she did. I'm pretty sure she doesn't, because there were people on the internet talking about like, where's Vanessa Kirby? And I was like, wait a second. Yeah,
Filming Fantastic Four.
that's true.
Do you think as someone who liked this movie, you really want another character in that movie?
No, but also like we could have used some Vanessa Kirby. We could have taken out a few of the guys that were there and added Vanessa Kirby.
That's fair. But anything else you want to say about 2 that you didn't cover earlier?
Yeah, directed by John Woo. I liked that the first 3 movies were all by different directors. I think that's cool. I like when franchises do that because they all feel very different, for better and for worse.
Yeah.
But this one just feels like I saw it and I was like, this is the coolest movie ever. It
really is. It's so cool.
Yeah, Ethan Hunt in black leather on a motorcycle. It's just, the Oakleys. He's climbing a mountain. Anthony Hopkins is in this.
Great car chase.
Yeah, you get a great car chase. You got, a slow motion fight that goes on for a really long time, but I don't mind because it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 2. Great, cool movie. So yeah.
Do you want to get to number 2? So
Let's do it.
it seems like we have the same movies in our top 2. I think you put that together also. I'm curious.
That's correct.
Curious of where we're going to put 2 and 1.
I think we're going to put it in the same place. I think we've talked about these movies enough. I think I know where you're going to put each one, and I think I have them in the same place.
I think you might be surprised. Let's see. All right.
Yeah.
And I rewatched both of these 2 only for Final Reckoning. So
Okay.
3.
So you're fresher than me. Okay, go
A
for
little
it.
fresher, yeah. So 3, 2, 1, Ghost
Fallout.
Protocol.
Okay, yep. We're
Yeah,
different on
there we
that
go.
one. So
But this is like a day of the week thing for me. I think those 2 are like some of the best.
I agree with you. I think it's the same thing. Like
So Ghost
take your
Protocol
pick.
is 1 for you, and Fallout is 1 for me. So I feel like it's a good way we can talk about these movies.
Yeah.
I think Fallout, just like watching that for the first time in IMAX was just like unbelievable. I think that's just what gives it the edge over Ghost Protocol, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Ghost Protocol is really good. Like, really, 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 really good.
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand putting it at 1. Like I said, ask me next week. I may have it at 1. I may have Final Reckoning at 1, bro. You
Yeah.
never know with me. I'm a loose goose. But I think Ghost Protocol is, like, incredible. It's so good. I think it's, like, just awesome. I think the Burj Khalifa is the coolest stunt in any of these movies.
I agree with you.
I think the team is really good in this movie. I don't love Jeremy Renner in this. Brant.
He doesn't play a huge part.
Yeah, but I don't know. But yeah, I think Ghost Protocol is really, really good. There's some really cool shit going on in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. I think, everything with the Burge is just incredible. I think it's like what I'm going to think about when I remember this franchise and these movies. Directed by Brad Bird, who directed The Incredibles, notably, and The Iron Giant,
Fun fact,
and Ratatouille. I didn't know that. What's the story there?
There were like 5 Ghost Protocol was a mess, like, making this movie. Obviously, it was like a soft reboot because Paramount had, like, kicked Tom Cruise off the lot because of his nonsense after 3, and 3 didn't do that well, and the whole press tour was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie kept going through writers and directors, and they landed on Brad Bird, and it was to be written by Chris McGuire, or at least he came in for rewrites. But yeah, I think it's really, really, really good. Yeah, I don't know. Great hair in that one too. I'd put that hair up there as well.
I agree. I think it's pretty good hair in this one. He's kind of going with a medium length here. Yeah. Pretty good stuff. With Ghost Protocol, we also have like Michael Nyqvist as the villain, who's I think is really good. He's one of the better villains. You have Lea Seydoux in like a nothing role. She kind of just like shoots people, and she's Sabine Moreau. She gets kicked off of the Burge, which is pretty fun.
She's so cool.
By Paula Patton. Yeah. But yeah, no. Ghost Protocol, Fallout. You can take your pick. Like these. You
can take your pick. Like I next week ask me and I might be Ghost Protocol. But Fallout, it just feels like the magnum opus for me. It feels like the Mission Impossible movie. It got a really good performance out of Henry Cavill.
It's true.
Need I say more?
It's true.
No, I just think Fallout's incredible. I think that Halo jump, like seeing that for the first time in theaters, just like blew my mind. I love the helicopter stuff. Every time I watch it, just that last second where a lot of these movies, but Ethan Hunt, like the last second, I am like gripping my everything, bro. I just
I think,
so good.
I think yeah. What were you gonna say? Did I interrupt you? Sorry.
No, you're good. I just like that's the worst thing about Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning to me. It's just impossible for me to top Mission Impossible Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I gotta go Fallout with number 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go Fallout 2, Ghost Protocol 1, and I think these two are really the best of the best in terms of giving you what these movies can do.
Definitely.
I think that with Ghost Protocol, you have a really kind of like sleek, stylish adventure espionage film, and then Fallout is just a straight thriller. I remember watching that and thinking it reminded me more of like, it kind of feels like The Dark Knight to me. It's kind of like, I'm referencing a superhero movie. I know, sneaking in the movies podcast, but
it's the superhero movie though. But.
Yeah, and I just thinking about the way, like how propulsive that movie is, and kind of like, all the moving parts and the thrilling. Like we need to get Sean Harris out of. The truck, and Tom Cruise talking to that one lady on the street who Henry Cavill is gonna shoot, and like he's trying to de-escalate the situation, and like nobody, like it's just great. It's just fantastic.
It's
madness. You get the Halo jump, you get the thing with the truck, like I said. You get the helicopters and the final fight with Henry Cavill on the mountain. It's just so sick. I think that this movie and Ghost Protocol are just the best of the best. 2 of, I think, my favorite movies, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, they're up there for me.
I'll take these I'll take these with me. This transcends the franchise, in my opinion. These are the only two for me that really kind of like stand out as like these are great films. I think a lot of the other ones are really good, really, really good, great movies. But as far as things that I can say like truly transcend the franchise, I think that's Fallout and Ghost Protocol.
I agree, but yeah, how blessed are we to live with Tom Cruise in our lives?
It's true.
I know we got less than a minute here before we go. I just want you to know, right now on my 2025 list, I put this over Thunderbolts, and you can't stop me.
Oh, fuck off. Okay, this has been the Sneaking Into the Movies podcast. We out, okay?
Don't worry. Next week, we'll be talking about Karate Kid Legends, a movie that I'm being forced to see.
Yeah.
So we might have a little role reversal here. We'll see what happens.
It's true.
But
yeah.
I'm a little excited to see it. I can't lie. I just
let's go.
Whatever. But,
all right.
Cobra Kai.
This has been Mission Impossible. Sneak in with us next time. Bye-bye.